pleasure to chair today's Women's of Valor event for the Jewish Federation of Greater Orange County. It's our idea to honor women in our community who've devoted their lives to Tikkun Olam, healing the world, in both our Jewish community and the community at large. So many women, Jewish women, have become and are becoming leaders of their professional and volunteer lives in every decade of life, from teen to octogenarian. I'm sure many of you had mothers like mine who worked every day, raised a family, never thought twice about volunteering for a synagogue committee, Hadassah, their sisterhood, the Federation, or numerous local or national charities. Today, we're celebrating 8 Orange County women. They've all had or are on their way to successful careers and are busy with school or families, yet they take the time to work tirelessly for their synagogues and charitable organizations. We see them every day, yet we don't always thank them for what they do. Now more than ever before, we need to reinforce our sense of community. There's no better way than to recognize these very special women. Over the past several decades, women have increasingly become the world's leaders in business, the professions, and in politics. Our keynote speaker today is Madeline Kunin, the former 3-term governor of Vermont. Governor Kunin exemplifies the power of a Jewish woman to make a positive change in the world. She and every one of our honorees is owed a debt of gratitude for their passion and education. Thank you for supporting them and your support of the work of the Jewish Federation. Enjoy the presentations as we recognize and say thank you to them. I have the pleasure to introduce to you Governor Madeline Kunin. Governor Kunin is coming to us from her home in Burlington, Vermont, and we're grateful to be able to speak to her today. Governor Kunin's biography is very extensive, so I have to share just the highlights. Born in Zurich, Switzerland, her mother escaped the war in Europe, bringing 2 young children to New York. She became interested in city and state politics and was elected to the governorship of Vermont in 1984. She was Vermont's first and to date only female governor. She was the first Jewish woman to be elected governor in any state and the only woman to have been elected to that position 3 times. During the Clinton administration, Governor Kunin served as Deputy Secretary of Education for the United States from 1993 to 1997, when she was appointed ambassador to her native Switzerland. In 1997, Ambassador Kunin found herself embroiled in the issue of returning money to the families of Holocaust victims, which had been held in accounts there in Switzerland for 60 years, as well as Swiss corporations with the Nazis in trade and finance and the refusal to accept thousands of desperate Jewish refugees. Ambassador Kunin was instrumental in a class action suit where the Swiss banks agreed to pay $1.25 billion in settlement. It would be incorrect to say that Governor Kunin is retired, living in Vermont. She's written 4 books, including her newest, Coming of Age, My Journey to the 80s, where she discusses her personal journey and examines her most recent stage of life. Today, as we honor extraordinary women in our community in every stage of life, it's so thrilling for us to hear from another woman of valor, a true pioneer. Welcome, former Governor Madeline Kunin. Welcome to our Women of Valor event. I'd like to begin with your new book, Coming of Age, My Journey to the 80s. Did writing this memoir help you face the future as well as examine the past?
Well, it sparked a time of introspection, of thinking about my life and thinking about the meaning of things. And when I was in politics, I didn't have time to reflect, and I just sort of lived day by day and hour by hour under the pressures of public life. But after I got older and retired from active politics, I had more time to try to find meaning and express that in poetry and writing. So yes, it was a change in my life, which I tried to understand by writing about it.
I got a sense that rather than rail at old age, you've decided to embrace it. What are some of the things you love about your life in the 80s?
Well, there's more time. You're not under the pressure, the same pressure, though I still pressure myself to be productive. But friendship and family are very important. And it just, you see changes in your body, you see changes in your mind, and you can either be depressed about that or try to live with it. And of course, I'm not always cheerful like I am today, but you get over it and you realize this is not, if you're fortunate enough to have financial security and fairly good health, this can be an adventurous and good part of life.
You made a decision to move to a retirement community. Does living with people in your age bracket feel limiting in any way?
Well, it could, but there are a lot of interesting and nice people here, and I've made some very good friends. But I also still have a life beyond the retirement community. I mean, I moved to my neighborhood, so it isn't an entirely new group of people. And I'm still engaged in helping women to get elected, still engaged in causes. So it isn't an either or. I feel fortunate to have a pretty stimulating life, except now for the COVID-19. I We are much more restricted in what we can do, as every retirement community and every community is, and that creates a certain sadness when you think of all the people who are suffering. So yes, my life could be limited, but I don't feel, I feel that the virus is limiting, not my age.
I was struck by the poetry in your book. Would you like to share a poem or two with us?
Yes, I will. Thank you. Yeah, I become a poet late in life. I've always written some poetry, but very sporadically, and never thought of myself as a poet. But I'll read one poem that I guess could be considered a little down, but it's not. It's called No Longer. No longer will we make love before breakfast. No longer will I dream of seeing New Zealand or the Cape of Good Hope or bears in the wild. No longer will I say yes more than no. No longer will danger sparkle and safety look dull. No longer will I look at my body without comparison between who I was and who I have become, blaming the light for the difference. No longer can I toss my hair over my face and count 100 strokes. No longer can I do without night cream and day cream, slathering on ounce after ounce. No longer can I be comfortable sitting in my chair reading for hours without getting up to stretch my arms and legs. No longer can I walk without looking down at my feet to avoid mean cracks and malicious bumps. No longer can I skip downstairs like a girl flying without feeling a thing. No longer can I approach the precipice without swaying against my will. No longer do I think ahead of where I will be in 10 years or 20 or more. Now I think in ones or twos or threes, long enough to still hunger for the food of life. No longer do I wish for the next day or the next year to come quickly, like I did the year I turned 10. I want the days to saunter like a leisurely museum stroller who stops now and then to gaze and get closer to the canvas to see the brushstrokes, and then steps back for the long view before moving on.
Beautiful. I think your love poem is particularly beautiful and so descriptive of how hard it is to accept separation from a partner due to illness. This is an even greater meaning in the age of COVID, when loved ones are separated in hospitals and long-term care facilities. Would you read that for us?
Yes, I would. I was fortunate enough to have a second very happy marriage, and then my husband became ill, and in our continuing care community, he could still be in the same, almost the same building, and I would visit him. And this is about our visits. We were very lucky that we could do that. It's called The Love Poem. Each night, I wheel you to your door with a kiss on your lips. I smile my love at you, generously, I think. You don't know how much I love you, you say. I do, I do. We've formed a ritual of waving goodbye as I retreat slowly down the hall. At first, I wave with one hand in the air, and then my arms go wild before I turn the corner, as if struck by a storm or signaling for help. We wave in tandem. You are there, and I am here. The nurses now know we wave not for them, but for one another, to have and to hold the love we swore to once and forever.
Love that one. Now on to politics. As ambassador to Switzerland, you helped the children of Holocaust victims recover funds that had been held in Swiss banks for decades. Can you comment on the role of Switzerland during the war and what they are doing now?
Well, Switzerland wasn't very cooperative about that. And when I arrived, I was surprised to find out that what they call dormant accounts, accounts that hadn't been claimed, was the hot topic. And the United States became active in wanting to see those funds returned. So Switzerland is good at keeping records. So they kept records of these bank accounts, but they never really tried hard to retrieve the money for the owners. The owners could either be Holocaust survivors or the heirs of Holocaust survivors. So it was a hot issue, and it occupied me practically every day of the 3 years that I was ambassador. And finally, by the time I left, there was some justice done, thanks to a judge in the United States. It's a complicated story, but it also made me very, very aware of my religion, because, well, some Swiss thought that Clinton had appointed me because I was Jewish. That was not the case. I don't think he was aware of my religion. But being Jewish made a difference in my determination to try to achieve justice. So it was a gratifying experience, if also a disturbing experience at times. But the end seemed to be as positive as you could be after so many years.
Over the years, you've also been a champion for the struggle for equal rights for women. Many nations across the globe already have or have had women leaders. Why do you think the United States is lagging behind in that?
Well, it's sort of a mystery, but we I don't know. We just still see a leader as male in the United States. It looks like we may have a woman as vice president, and that would be a step up. I was, like many people, disappointed that Hillary was not our ex-president in 2016. Um, but I think it's going to happen because there's just much more awareness of gender issues. Uh, yes, this week's Supreme Court decision on LGBTQ issues. So I think we're definitely moving in that direction. And it'll happen. I mean, one reason other countries are so far ahead of us is that they have a parliamentary system where the head of the party becomes the head of the country. And we don't have that. So I'm hopeful that I'll live to see the day.
As you mentioned, Vice President Biden has committed to choosing a woman as his running mate. Does this take on greater importance due to his age? And should he commit to being a one-term president?
I don't think he should commit to be a one-term president, but obviously the fact that he's recommending a woman will make a difference. And I think he would limit his authority if he committed to be a one-term president, just because of his age. As long as he is sound and capable, he should be president as long as the people elect him.
As a prominent Jewish woman, have you faced any anti-Semitism in your career?
Well, thankfully, I really haven't, not to my knowledge. You know, sometimes people talk and you're not aware of it, which is probably healthy. But when I was campaigning for my first term as governor, there's just a tiny incident that didn't amount to much. A newspaper reporter called my campaign manager, Liz Bankowski, and asked about the three disadvantages that I supposedly had: being a woman, being a Democrat in Vermont, and being Jewish. So Liz snapped right back and said, has anybody talked about being Jewish as a disadvantage? And she talked him out of printing the story. So it never amounted to much. I would probably say that most people didn't know I was Jewish, didn't ask me about it, and maybe that's, you know, that's part of Vermont. And it was also a time before politics got so nasty and negative. When I think about it, you know, so I'm lucky that that did not happen.
In light of the ongoing protests across America, what do you believe the role of the state governors should be in dealing with civil unrest and protecting the rights of citizens to peacefully protest?
Well, I think governors have a huge role, and especially as the president um, is either saying things that are inappropriate or saying nothing at all. So governors have stepped in on the COVID crisis, and governors have stepped in, are beginning to step in terms of the protests and racial justice. So it varies from state to state, but I think some national action is also very important, like banning chokeholds and violence against a defendant. So we all have to think more about our own, almost sometimes invisible racial injustice or our own prejudice. We're brought up a certain way, and I think we can consider ourselves tolerant, which I do, but I think tolerant is not enough anymore. I think we have to really try to step in the shoes of our African American neighbors and friends and try to be more sensitive, more aware of what we can do to bridge the gap in education, the gap in income, the gap in healthcare. I mean, that's what the COVID crisis has laid bare, how stark the disadvantages are for many African Americans, not because of anything they do wrong, but because they don't have the same opportunities uh, for equality and justice that we have as white Jewish women.
I want to go back to the book for the last question. I think my favorite part of the book comes at the end where you added your speech at the Vermont Women's March after the inauguration. Could you possibly end with an excerpt from that speech that means so much, if not more today, than it did 3.5 years ago?
Okay, I will. It does mean more today. When, because we're more active, we're more incensed, we're more outraged at what has been happening. And I guess I'll read the end. The scene was quite wonderful. This was a march in front of the Vermont State House, and they had to actually close an exit to the interstate because there were too many cars and too many people, and there was no more room in front of the State House. So it was a huge crowd, a happy crowd. We didn't know what would happen in the next 4 years, but we knew it would be a hardship for many of us and many others. So um, I'll read towards the end. In the next 4 years, we will be heard, not only in this place at this time, but throughout the land, in towns and cities, and in our nation's capital, and all over the world where people are marching with us. We pledge not to be silent. We pledge not to be interrupted. We pledge not to be sidelined. We pledge not to be stopped. We pledge not to be afraid, and we pledge not to lose hope. We must keep hope alive. I will read the first stanza of a poem called Hope by Emily Dickinson. Hope is a thing with feathers that perches on the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all.
Thank you so much, Governor. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I wish you very good luck with your new book.
Thank you so much, and I wish I could be there in person.
We do too.
We'd have wonderful conversations and to meet your congregation and just to schmooze and chat and talk about the state of the world. But thank you very much for inviting me. It's been a real pleasure for me.
Thank you. Stay well.
You too. Let me congratulate the women of Orange County who are being recognized as women of valor. They have done so much for their communities and their state and the nation and lived full lives. And I'm so happy that you're able to recognize them.
Thank you so much. Last year, the Federation Events Committee decided it was time to hold an event honoring some of the dedicated Federation members who've made contributions to the organization over the years. After reading about Governor Cunan's life, we decided to ask her to speak about her newest book, Coming of Age, My Journey to the 80s, and dedicate our event to women in our community who exemplify her commitment to both the Jewish community and to the wider world as well. Women of Valor. Rabbi Rachel suggested that we include women in every decade of life, from teens through 80s. It was not difficult to find 8 such women. They're living in every community in Orange County. A wonderful brunch was scheduled to be held at Kol Yisrael. The caterer was hired, the save the date and the invitations were designed, the journal was planned, and then the pandemic struck. But where there's a will, there's a way. Rabbi Rachel was determined to transform this live event into a virtual one. So thanks to her energy and dedication and the technology of Zoom, we're here today. Each of our 8 honorees will be introduced to you on the video presentation to follow. Some of them you've known for decades, are well aware of the wonderful work that they've done and continue to do. Some are new to us, the next generation. Without them, we could not continue. Our thanks go out to all and to all of you here today who are supporting and honoring them. Enjoy the presentations of the 2020 Women of Valor.
Sarah Shama is a senior at Monticello High School, where she is valedictorian of her class. She's involved in many extracurriculars, but her favorites are community service groups and projects. Sarah is a varsity alpine ski racer, golfer, and scholar athlete. Next year, she plans on studying biomedical engineering at the University of Texas. Every Sunday, Sarah volunteered with the preschool Hebrew school class at Temple Sinai in Middletown. She has written a children's book about tolerance and acceptance in response to anti-Semitism in her school. The book is on its way to being published and implemented in Orange County schools. Congratulations, Sarah.
Sophia Mayer of Highland Mills completed her freshman year at Fordham University. Throughout high school, she volunteered at Monroe Temple's religious school and was highly involved with her Temple youth group, serving as president in 2018. In college, she works at Temple Emmanuel's religious school and is an active member of Fordham's Jewish Student Organization, of which she will serve as vice president next fall. Outside of Jewish life, Sophia spends her time reading about history and politics and tutoring low-income students in the Bronx.
Kiowa Pratt Gordon was raised in the Monroe Temple Bethel community. She began her teaching career at Temple Beth Shalom in Florida, New York, where she taught Hebrew school and tutored bar mitzvah students. This is where I first met Kiowa and took an immediate liking to her, especially after I discovered we share a mutual birthday. She's the same age as my daughter, and they both exemplify strong leadership qualities. She took her lessons of Tikkun Olam and went on to teach in the Women's Studies Department at the University of Albany. Later, she served in the United States Peace Corps, where she worked with the Department of Education to improve the teaching methodology of teachers in rural Mongolia. Kiowa was awarded a Fulbright scholarship to work with university professionals and displaced populations in Colombia, South America. I followed her exploits around the world via Facebook, taking pride in every new accomplishment. Kiowa recently graduated from Harvard University with a master's degree in education policy and management. She now works for an international education technology group that provides for the needs of English learners abroad.
Aviva Zucker-Snyder of Highland Mills has been dedicated to enriching the lives of Jewish students so that they may enrich the Jewish people and the world. She helps Hillel fulfill their mission of a world where every Jewish student is inspired to make an enduring commitment to Jewish life, learning in Israel. Aviva started out as student director at SUNY Albany's Hillel, eventually rising to executive director of that Hillel. She then moved into an executive position as Director of Talent Acquisition for Hillel, guiding countless current Hillel directors, local boards, and universities through the process of selection and placement of senior leaders. As Campus Support Director, she currently works with a portfolio of Hillels and Hillel International to support Hillel's drive to excellence. In addition to her degree in Jewish Studies and Archaeology, Aviva spent a year in Israel as part of Young Judea Year Course. In her spare moments, you are likely to find this committed vegetarian running marathons, half marathons, and chasing after her daughter, Noah. I personally had the pleasure of watching Aviva in action when, as president of Federation, I asked her to step in and lend her formidable recruitment skills to help us find a new Federation executive director. Her mom and dad describe her as a force of nature, a phoenix rising from the ashes of any personal or professional challenge to scale the heights of her career and create a wonderful, meaningful Jewish life for her daughter Noah. In addition to being a terrific mother, she's a wonderful daughter, great sister, one who visits her grandmother and does everyone's grocery shopping during a pandemic. Thank you, Aviva Zucker-Snyder, for everything you do.
Paula has spent most of her life in Orange County. As a two-term president of Temple Sinai, she is focused on community engagement and strengthening security in the building. In 9 years as a program director and coordinator with Jewish Family Service, she has trained hundreds of friendly visitor program volunteers, provided engaging programs for Holocaust survivors, and led the JFS Kids Connect camp. Paula is serving her third term as a Board of Education member for the enlarged City School District of Middletown. She and her husband Eric live in the town of Wallkill and will be celebrating their 30th anniversary this June. Their sons, Tyler and Seth, have chosen to live in the warmer weather of Charlotte, North Carolina. Paula's strong sense of family and community culminates with her continued dedication to keeping her Jewish heritage alive and thriving in all that she does.
Gail Oliver served as president of the Jewish Federation of Greater Orange County, chair of the Social Action Committee of Temple Beth Jacob in Newburgh for over 20 years, president of the Noah of Newburgh chapter of Hadassah, and grassroots fundraising chair for the Lower New York State region of Hadassah. Professionally, she served as the director of volunteers at Westchester ARC and the coordinator of the Westchester Jewish Community Services Havurah program, which served Jewish adults and children with developmental and intellectual challenges. Gail clearly embraces the spirit of Tikkun Olam, repairing the world. Through her tireless recruitment of volunteers and donors to the Gift of Life Marrow Registry, she has helped hundreds of caring people to engage the best parts of themselves. In doing so, she has benefited them as well as everyone they have helped. When Gail and I first met over 30 years ago, the Federation was celebrating its 13th year with the Bar Mitzvah Gala. I mentioned this to Gail, including the significant financial commitment involved, and without hesitation, she said that she would like to participate. I felt at that moment that I had a soul sister and that our community was going to benefit from her presence. I was right. Since then, I have witnessed Gail plan and execute countless fundraisers, auctions, and events for our Jewish community, as well as encouraging us to get involved with inclusion programming for our developmentally and intellectually challenged Jewish community members. She makes us all better people by opening our minds and our hearts to the truest meaning of repairing our world.
Carol Levine, a woman of valor. My longtime friend and travel partner, Carol Levine, began her involvement with Federation as a member of the Young Leadership of Orange County. Currently, she serves on the Endowment Committee, which was founded by her late husband, Harold, of blessed memory. Carol is a Federation Lion of Judah, just as her mother before her, Jessie Blinkoff, was a Lion of Judah. Her daughter, Rachel Steinberg, also, having a love for Federation, has followed in their footsteps and is a Lion of Judah also. Lions are part of the most dynamic philanthropic Jewish women in the world, comprised of strong women of all ages. They're an international sisterhood of thousands of global activists who care deeply about the Jewish future. In addition, Carol was a member of Temple Sinai's Board of Education and president of the Middletown Day Nursery. Her past affiliations include membership in the Junior League and being a board member of her New York City co-op. Most importantly, Carol and her husband Harold instilled a love of Judaism and the Jewish Federation of Greater Orange County in their children and grandchildren. That is the most important Jewish ideal, continuity through the generations. Carol Levine.
About 28 years ago, a group of women from Hadassah and Temple Beth Jacob, who became affectionately known as the Jewish Ladies, arrived to do holiday hair and beauty makeovers for the women at the AHRC Training Center in Campbell Hall, which serves adults with developmental disabilities. We were warmly greeted by Lorraine Wernow, their social worker. Lorraine was thrilled to be involved with our group. She polished nails with the best of them, and even after she retired, she continued to be part of our Jewish Ladies group. Lorraine is a volunteer extraordinaire, a person who always reaches out to help others. For many years, Lorraine was a volunteer for Orange and Sullivan Hospice. She served as the treasurer for the Hearing Loss Association of America, Mid-Hudson chapter, assisted with their annual Walk for Hearing, and set up remote captioning for their meetings. Lorraine is an enthusiastic volunteer for the Jewish Federation of Greater Orange County and is at their office once a week to help out any way she can. Lorraine is also the most wonderful volunteer for the Gift of Life Marrow Registry. Even at 85 years and counting, she has more energy than all of the other volunteers put together. At our swabbing drives, Lorraine approaches every potential donor to ask them to join the registry, and she can be seen marching around festivals and college campuses, asking people to get swabbed, not wanting to take no for an answer. She does take a break now and then, especially at Latin American festivals, to do a little salsa dancing. But even then, her eyes are looking for the young people in the crowd, hoping they will join the registry and save someone's life someday. Lorraine is the epitome of kindness and goodness and compassion, and I am delighted that I can call her one of my dearest friends and that she is being honored by Federation today. She is truly a woman of valor.
Well, I have to wipe the tears. It's been said that we are in uncertain times or unprecedented times. A health crisis has gripped our nation and the world, and the economy has taken a deep dive. Yet the work of Federation goes on. The need to support our Jewish communities locally and around the world is greater than ever. It's now my pleasure to introduce our first Vice President and Campaign Chair, Risa Cutler, who will tell you about the Federation campaign. Risa.
Hi, hello everyone, and thank you for coming today to honor and support our wonderful women of valor, Susan and Rabbi Rachel Mazel Tov, on this amazing event, bringing our community together in such a meaningful way today. These recent months have certainly challenged us to virtually connect with our community and respond to the many needs of our Orange County citizens. Thanks to your generosity, we have helped our local synagogues apply for and secure Payroll Protection Program PPP loans and facilitated the purchase of adequate PPE, personal protective equipment, in preparation for a safe reopening of our synagogues. We also worked in partnership with Jewish Family Service during this time to bring food to those in our community in need. This important work of our Federation is ongoing and never done, and we still have a lot to do. Now more than ever, we need all of you to also support our annual campaign. Your gift to our campaign will allow us to continue to meet the needs of our community and to quickly respond to them. Every gift makes a difference, so please give what you can. We learned from the Talmud that whoever practices charity and justice fills the world with loving kindness. This is a well-timed message for us at this moment. Now more than ever, we are being called on to care for each other. Now more than ever, our community is counting on us. Thank you for your gifts of kindness in support of the important and ongoing work of our Federation.
Thank you, Risa. At this point, I would like to welcome our Women of Valor to accept virtually. We wish we could be there in person, but to accept virtually your awards. We would invite all of you to share a few words, and really from the bottom of our heart, we just thank you for all that you do for our communities. I teared up watching that video, even as I was making it, to hear all of the contributions that you all make from right here in Orange County to literally around the world. It's such a special gift and honor for us to be able to celebrate you this way. So at this point, if I'm going to ask our Women of Valor, from our most senior to our youngest, to unmute one at a time and accept your award. So Lorraine, if you want to unmute at this point, we would love to congratulate you and wish you Mazel Tov.
I think she's having a hard time. Oh, there she is.
Okay, now I was mute. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone, and congratulations to my fellow honorees. I have enjoyed being a volunteer since my early years with the Girl Scouts and have continued volunteering with many organizations throughout my adult life. It is something that I have stayed true to. During my recent years, I loved being a volunteer for the Jewish Federation of Greater Orange County and have made many wonderful friends. Thank you for honoring me as one of the Women of Valor.
Thank you, Lorraine, and Mazel Tov. At this point, we would like to welcome Carol Levine to please unmute and accept your award.
Minute.
Carol, we can hear you. You're perfect.
Okay. I want to thank the Federation for this special honor. It's been my privilege to work and support the activities of the Federation. I also want to thank my past and present family and everyone for encouraging me to continue Jewish causes. I hope I can continue to do so in the future. Thank you again, and thank you for the lovely gifts, and thank you for honoring me.
Mazel tov, Carol. At this point, we'd love to welcome Gail Oliver to please unmute and accept your award.
Thank you to everyone at Federation for this wonderful honor. I would also like to thank all of the volunteers who have worked with me throughout the years. I cannot do it alone. And so every time I put out a call and ask for people to help me, they are there and they come out in droves. In the past 3 years, I've been, our team around Orange County has been able to swab 652 people and add them to the registry. And just this week, on Tuesday, I was advised that another match, the 9th match we found, was found for a 31-year-old man with leukemia. Everything we do involves the efforts of our entire Orange County Jewish community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gail. Mazel tov.
Thank
At this point, we'd love to welcome Paula Blumenau to please unmute and accept your award.
Thank you so much to the Federation for recognizing me and all of these incredible women that I share this honor with. These are really challenging times to be celebrating, and Federation, thank you so much for bringing us together for this purpose, to celebrate all the hard work that's done in our community. And we're being recognized, all of these women, all of you are being recognized for getting involved because we chose to get involved. When were given the choice to get involved, we didn't just turn the other way and say, what do I need to get involved for? Somebody else will do it. I don't need to be there. Somebody else will do it. We chose to stay, to lead, and to support our communities. We chose to empower others, and we chose to share our ideas, our skills, our strengths, and our resources to causes, whether they were Jewish or not, that we find meaningful to us in our lives. I hope all of you sharing in today's event continually find meaning in your world. You can start by just getting involved. It's very easy. I did when I took an interest in my child's life, in their school district, in their Jewish education. And I originally thought that when my children were done, I would be done, and I would kind of, reinvent myself at that point. And then I realized what I was doing just wasn't for them. It was for me also, and for my family and my community. And I like being a part of the big picture. I was encouraged to join the Middletown School Board a little over 9 years ago. I've been a member for 8 years. And at the same time, I was encouraged by some very special people who are here today to join in leading the temple. And I feel that my voice is heard. But equally important is that I share the voice of others. We all must share the voice of others. And in my 10 years and multiple roles at Jewish Family Service, they've been so meaningful as well. The work that I do, whether it was making the best possible camp for children with disabilities with Kids Connect Camp, or training volunteers with the Friendly Visitor Program to be the best possible volunteers they could be to help our older population in Orange County, or just providing social experiences for Holocaust survivors, which is what I'm working on now. And I've always felt the work I was doing was meaningful. Even when I'm working with my Halo business, which I do sometimes in the middle of the night, I find especially meaningful just finding the right pen for the right client. So I want you to know that I'm so grateful for my family, my friends, my colleagues who have believed in me and encouraged me throughout the year and throughout the years and through my life. My husband, Eric, who's sitting next to me on another computer of 30 years for supporting me and sharing me and just, helping me change my hats, make sure I was wearing the right one at the right time. And I love my sons, Tyler and Seth, who I know are now helping are down in Charlotte in their communities and playing baseball today. So that makes me very, very, very happy. And thank you to everyone who believed in me and encouraged me to get involved. Just get involved. And thank you again to Federation for honoring me and the rest of my colleagues.
Thank you, Paula. Mazel tov. And Speaking of Halo, thank you for the beautiful pens and the phone chargers that were included in the gifts we gave to our Women of Valor. Thank you for all that you do.
You're welcome.
At this point, I would like to welcome Aviva Zucker-Snyder to please unmute and accept your award.
Hey everyone, and Rachel and Federation, thank you so much for this honor. I'm feeling incredibly honored to be connected with Sarah and Sophia and Kaiwa and Paula and Gail and Carol and Lorraine. You're incredible. I'm feeling very lucky. You know, I'm just very lucky to be raised and surrounded throughout my life by so many strong female leaders that taught me about leadership. And what I've learned from them is that leadership is about lifting others up and helping us all to shine by how we can contribute. And Paula, what you just shared made a lot of sense to me. This moment is also really lucky and privileged in a couple of really fun ways that I thought I'd share. So Kiowa was one of my students at Albany, and this event allowed us to reconnect, which was incredibly special and lovely. And I have also been keeping track of her, you know, kind of adventures since we've been friendly at UAlbany together. So it's a really nice, you know, full circle moment. And I spent a lot of time in Burlington, Vermont. So when I knew we were honoring Governor Keenan, it was really exciting. And my daughter is convinced she's going to move there eventually. So I think we're going to spend some more time in Vermont. But I just wanted to talk for a minute about growing up here. So I grew up here. I've moved back here in my adult life. But this community is really incredible. And I feel very lucky to be back in this community that helped raise me. Certainly my family is incredible. They're all here and they're unbelievable supporters to me and just about anybody else who, you know, is in Orange County or beyond, because that's just who we are. But this Jewish community was absolutely my family growing up. And I had a million amazing Jewish role models that I still call on today. Some of them are on this call. And I talk to all the time about my work, my leadership, how they support me for decades. And it's really quite incredible because you don't get that in every Jewish community. And I've been to a lot of Jewish communities. I did my first fundraising call ever at Super Sunday in Orange County Federation. I think I was maybe 12 or 13. So you've trained me well, thank you. And I very much use it all the time. And I'm very lucky that Hillel, the organization I work for, which is just another incredible layer of family, and many of them are on here today with me. It's huge. They let me work here from home so I can be both part of this incredible, progressive, pluralistic, innovative organization that really invests in their people. I'm a product of that, and I've also gotten to work on that from the ground floor up to make sure that there's women in every stage and phase and aspect of our work together, and that everyone is included in Jewish life. And that's such a mitzvah, and it's such a mitzvah that I get to be both here to do that locally and also to watch my daughter benefit from all of this love and support in this lovely little rich Jewish community we live in. She's growing into her own force to be reckoned with. I'm pretty proud of her. And it's because of this community and how they've nurtured her, and also be part of this global community together. So I'm incredibly humbled and lucky to be part of this and honored to be part of this moment with you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aviva. Mazel tov. At this point, I would like to invite Kiowa Pratt-Gordon to unmute and accept your award.
Hey everybody, look, so lovely to see you all. I'd like to start with a land acknowledgement, which is something that I've started doing since working with HUNAP, the Harvard University Native American Program. So a land acknowledgement is just acknowledging how we benefit from settler colonialism, unfortunately, and by living and working on stolen land from Native people. I will speak to myself. I am on the indigenous land of the Massachusetts people currently. So just acknowledging that as we go forward. So thank you everyone for organizing this event. Thank you Sharon and Rabbi Rachel and Susan and the Federation and all of the people that helped put this together and then changed it all and still made it so special for myself and everyone. Like Aviva was saying, I was also raised in the Orange County community, and it was just such an amazing place that I started my education as a young woman, as a young Jew, as a citizen of the world, and to really value this lesson of Tikkun Olam, to not just in my own personal life, but also gearing my career towards this. and during my early work with Temple Beth Shalom in Florida, this lesson, I feel like that was such a great platform for me to go off and do the things that I've done abroad. And everyone was so supportive and knew that I could do things before I felt I could. So thank you to all my friends and family at Temple Bethel and Temple Beth Shalom to really help propel me forward. The Molaskis, the Gottliebs, the Valls, Rabbi Schinder and her family, Gail Conklin, Sharon Halper, like, thank you so much, everyone, for believing in me and helping me, do this work that I am so proud of and I continue to do and I want to continue to do. I'm so grateful for all the generous, loving people that have taught me and helped me learn how to survive. And I've, now been to so many different places and I've met so many different people, and there's really still no place like home. And it's just so amazing to be included in this event with such amazing people. And, like, time passes and you go and you meet and all these different people, and I'm like, oh, like, maybe they don't remember me anymore. And then, so it was such a surprise to, like, Sharon, when I got that call from you and saying, about this event and how I'm being honored, it was just such an amazing moment to know that, like, I'm remembered and I'm still included, and it doesn't matter how far I go or how long I'm there, to still be thought of and included and loved and welcomed, no matter what. That's just been so special for me. So thank you, everyone, for all of that love and support. And it's just such a pleasure and an honor. And thank you to my mom and my friends and my amazing Orange County Jewish community. Thank you all.
Mazel tov, Kiowa. Once a part of the Orange County Jewish community, always a part of the Orange County Jewish community. Mazel tov. At this point, I would like to welcome Sophia Mayer to unmute and accept your award.
Thank you. I just want to start by saying thank you so much for this prestigious award. Seeing that all of these women that are older than me and even younger than me that have done all of these amazing things that I can only aspire to continue to do. My work with the Jewish community has been a very, very important part of my life and will continue to be, since I was bat mitzvahed till now and forever. I have been teaching Hebrew school, and I think that the part of this Women of Valor award, that every single generation has an important role to play and that we continue to do so, is particularly important to me, as I think that education is the most important part of Jewish life, and to continue to pass it on to generations, as we've been seeing right now as everyone's been speaking. So thank you. Congratulations to all of the other Women of Valor, and I look forward to continuing to try to aspire in my volunteerism and philanthropy and work with the Jewish community.
Mazel tov, Sophia. Sarah, unfortunately, was not able to join us today. This is actually at this very moment her high school graduation. So we wish a mazel tov to Sarah, who is valedictorian of her class. But she did share with us a short video, which I will share with all of you now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Shama. I am unable to attend this event today as I am graduating from Monticello High School. First, I want to say thank you to the Jewish Federation for awarding me this honor. I also want to thank them for their constant support and assistance with making my book become a reality. They've helped me edit it and make it into its current form, and soon they will help me publish it. And a final thank you to my parents for encouraging me to write my book and supporting me through the whole process. I started my journey to write this book when I experienced anti-Semitism in my school. Initially, I was scared by this event, but I then realized that I needed to take action. I knew that educating people about tolerance needed to start at a young age. That's when I decided to write my book with the ultimate goal of teaching tolerance to young children to prevent discriminatory acts when they get older. Additionally, this process has provided me with a chance to grow and better myself, and I could not be more grateful. Thank you again, everyone, and have a nice day.
Mazel tov to Sarah and to all of our honorees. Really, I'm just so moved. It's remarkable to see all of you in this time of a lot of darkness for our country, for our world. It's a scary time in the world, and you all bring light. You bring light into our community. You bring light into our world, and I think that we can see all of the almost 100 participants that were on this call really need you. We need your light in our world. You shine the way for all of us, and we really truly thank you and wish you a mazel tov on this very well-deserved honor. Before I turn it over to Susan, who will close our event today, I just want to wish her another huge thank you. I know she's going to thank a lot of people who were involved in this event. So I want to be sure that we thank Susan, because Susan, you gave so much to this event. You give so much to the Jewish Federation. A lot of times you're behind the scenes. And so I'm so happy that you were able to be front and center in this event, because you do so much for us, and we truly do thank you. And I also want to thank Risa Culler, our campaign chair, and echo her words that that your contributions, every single person on this call, your contributions just by coming to this event, your contributions to our journal, to our Women of Valor, to honoring everyone, it's what makes us run, and we couldn't do it without you. Nothing would be possible without the support of every single one of you. Our annual campaign is ongoing, and we thank you from the bottom of our heart for all of your support now and in the future. Really, thank you to everyone on this call. With that, I will turn it over to Susan Notar to close our event.
I hope you enjoyed our first attempt at a virtual Federation event. I want to thank everyone for tuning in this afternoon. I want to first thank Governor Kunin for speaking with us. It's been a true pleasure to meet and speak with the governor and to honor our 8 Orange County Women of Valor. If you'd like a copy of my Journey to the 80s, it's available through the Federation office. Many thanks to Rabbi Rachel for her perseverance in going forward with this event during a lockdown pandemic, for reaching out to the honorees and their families and friends, and for creating the wonderful slideshow presentation. A big thank you to Sharon for putting together the journal, to Georgia for her accounting help, and to all of you for supporting the Federation and for helping us play a big part in the Jewish life of our community. If you'd like to view today's program, again, it will be available on the Federation website, as will the journal Good Wishes sent to the honorees. Before you tune out, you can take a look at the ads on the screen. Thank you again, and hope to see you soon.